All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little look back at the NFL draft. In this video, we're going to take a look at what the Raiders did, the Las Vegas Raiders. And make sure you check out Pig and a Pickle, two locations. They're in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Marin County from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Well, the Raiders in the past have had very sketchy drafts. Henry Ruggs is incarcerated for killing somebody in a DUI. They draft guys like Alex Leatherwood and wind up cutting him. They wind up they just make a lot of bad picks, and they have for years, and they miss out in the draft consistently. They have their own methodology. They took a chance with Mike Mayock. That didn't work out. Now they've got the Josh McDaniels and the New England connection there in that front office. And I thought their draft was really, really good. Let's go through it. They get Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech. Tyree Wilson, 6'6", 270, and just a powerful pass rusher and just an accomplished guy. If you watch the film on this guy gets off blocks. He's got great length. They need somebody opposite Max Crosby. Crosby accounted for almost half their sacks last year. They were 27th in the league in sacks, and he was one of the best sack masters going. So they got to have somebody opposite him, and now they add Tyree Wilson. And Wilson is a phenomenal blue chip player. He's got the motor, he's got the size, and he'll give them an impact pass rusher opposite Max Crosby. So that's number one. Then in the second round, they take Michael Mayer, the Notre Dame tight end. They traded Darren Waller to the New York Giants. So now they get a player in Mayer who's going to be much more cap friendly, and Mayer's going to be a monster. I think this is the best tight end in the draft, and a really loaded tight end draft. Michael Mayer does nothing but do everything you want. Makes big catches on third downs and keeps the offense on the field. Catches touchdowns. Caught 9 of them last year. So you're talking about a really, really good football player and a really safe pick. So I love the Michael Mayer pick. And the Raiders are pretty much, as bad as they were with as as highly as they're picking, they're going to get a couple blue chippers, and sure enough, they did. Tyree Wilson and Michael Mayer. All right, let's go to the third round. They took Byron Young out of Alabama. I think this is one of the most underrated players in the draft. He wore number 47. He's a 4-year player. He's got 34.5-inch arms. Really plays the run well, but if you watch the film, he comes firing off blocks and can be a pass rusher. So I love the Byron Young pick, especially in the third round. The second round might have been a little bit of a reach, but this kid, to me, he was the better of the Byron Young prospects. People were talking up the Tennessee edge rusher, but this guy has got movement ability and strength. He's got huge hands, long arms, very powerful against the run, and a little bit better pass rusher than you think. So I love the Byron Young pick. They need to improve their front line, and obviously Tyree Wilson and Byron Young do that. Trey Tucker is a return man receiver for Cincinnati. Don't love that pick. There were definitely better players on the board. Jacorian Bennett, a cornerback from Maryland. I think this was a really good pick. Early in the fourth round, Bennett's got great speed, great recovery ability. I really like Jacorian Bennett. I think he shut down receivers in the ACC all year. He's got speed. He's tenacious. He's really competitive at the catch point. I think Bennett makes their team, and it winds up being a major asset for them on the corner. Then they went with Aiden O'Connell, the Purdue quarterback, in the fourth round. He's got good size. There were a lot of people that like O'Connell as a pocket passer. Very interesting pick there. I thought that was pretty good value. Quarterback, fourth round was definitely the quarterback round. Then they went Christopher Smith, the safety out of Georgia. And, Smith doesn't fit the size speed measurables that everybody's looking for, but he's a hell of a football player. And if you watch Georgia, he made lots and lots and lots of plays. So really like Christopher Smith. Mari Burney, the outside backer from Florida, got a lot of athleticism, a lot of potential there. Nesta Jade Silvera is a good prospect from the Arizona State defensive lineman. Those last couple picks, not a huge fan of those last picks, but to me, they absolutely hit on Tyree Wilson. They got a star edge rusher. They get a big-time Pro Bowl caliber tight end in Michael Mayer. They get a 300-pound a guy who can really help their D-line in Byron Young. And then they get a really nice corner in Jacorian Bennett, and a safety prospect that I think makes their team, and Christopher Smith. And, if you look at that quarterback, this team's got Jimmy Garoppolo, they have Brian Hoyer, and now they have Aiden O'Connell and Chase Garbers. So I think there's a very good chance that O'Connell could wind up beating out Garbers and Hoyer and becoming the backup to Jimmy. And if Jimmy goes down for any period of time this year, you could see Aiden O'Connell starting games. So I really kind of like what the Raiders did. They had high picks, so you got to factor that in. But Tyree Wilson is as good a defensive player as there was in this draft, and Michael Mayer is an impact tight end. And that's not all they got. I mean, they got a good corner. They got a good defensive lineman. My draft crush of the entire draft was Byron Young out of Alabama because he can play the run, but he can play the pass. I think he's terrific if you play stunting games up front. And then Michael Mayer. Michael Mayer is a terrific tight end. I mean, Waller was an unbelievable talent, but now you got a cheaper player, and I think you got a guy who's going to be more consistent. Waller's a freak athlete. Mayer's not that freak athlete, but Mayer's a terrific football player. He's going to make every big catch on third down. He's going to catch stuff in the red zone. He's going to score touchdowns. So overall, I would say real strong draft for the Raiders. I'll give it a B, just simply because they were picking high. They had a number of high picks. I'm not loving their day 2 or their day 3 stuff that much. Bernie and Nesta Jade Silvera. Not crazy about those super late picks, but I love the way it started with Tyree Wilson, Michael Mayer, Byron Young, Jacorian Bennett. Real nice draft for the Raiders. I'll say, B- draft. It could have been better if they had really hit in day 3, but they got some difference makers. They got 2 guys that I think could be, they may have the defensive rookie of the year in Tyree Wilson and the offensive rookie of the year in Michael Mayer. So for that reason alone, I got to give the Raiders a pretty good draft, but I thought they whiffed a little bit late. I'll say B- overall on the Raider draft. All right, check out Pig and a Pickle in Corte Madera and in Emeryville. They're open 7 days a week in Marin County from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then they are open in Emeryville Wednesday through Sunday. And thanks for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.